Hi, my name is Scott Sansel-Condren, and welcome to the third episode of Grief, I Love Tim. First, I want to apologize for episode 2. In episode 1, I said I wouldn't give advice, and I gave advice about breaking down in public. I apologize beyond anything for giving advice, and it was just my experience. I'm sorry I was an asshole and gave advice. Today I want to talk about first. I've had a lot of them lately. The first holidays, first birthday without him, our first anniversary, even small things like changing the bed. It took me several weeks to actually change the bed, even though he hadn't slept in it in over 2 weeks. It was one of the hardest that I had to do over the last 6 weeks. Coming up this week, I'm going to see Tim's family. Some of them I've seen, none of his siblings have I seen. I'll see 2 of them for the first time. It's going to be an extremely emotional time flying back to Boston where we lived for 18 years. The funeral isn't until early September. Tim would not have wanted to disrupt anyone's summer. If we back up a bit, Tim's birthday was June 21st, the longest day of the year. He used to do a lot of fundraising for Alzheimer's on that day. Kind of getting the emails about Alzheimer's and all of that kind of made it more difficult. Then came the 23rd, which would have been our 18th wedding anniversary. Very personal. Spent most of that day alone. However, on the 22nd, the restaurant that I had booked reservations at for Tim's birthday and for our anniversary, and we always celebrated that day in between, called, and I hadn't canceled the reservation. I didn't tell him what happened. I just apologized, and I think I paid a $75 fee or something. There was part of me that still wanted to go to that restaurant, to sit at a table, to order 2 glasses of her favorite Sauvignon Blanc or Sancerre. I don't know how that would have looked. Probably a little crazy. But I am a little crazy sometimes right now. And today, July the 4th, I gave our dog, Luffy, a bath. Tim would help me dry her after I'd finished. As soon as I turned on the water in the shower, new walk-in shower that Tim had helped design and that his niece had brought us to fruition, my tears started running. Through the bathing and drying process and the walk afterwards that would help dry her, I was so emotional. And then if we back up to the 26th, I had my final infusion for hairy cell leukemia. It was also the 1-month anniversary of Tim's passing. I don't know what to do with that. It was supposed to be a joyous day, and it wasn't. I got in the car, drove home, picked up our dog, Luffy, and drove 2 hours to my sister's house. I think I've said this before. It was hard walking out of that cancer center alone without Tim. He had walked in with me on May the 5th when I did my first chemotherapies. And I expected it to be a joyous occasion when we walked out of there and I was in remission, waiting to find out if I'm cancer-free. They wanted me to ring the bell and to be happy. I just stood there and tried not to cry. I put on my sunglasses and left, and like I said, went home, got the dog, and drove to my sister's house. Now it's the 4th of July weekend. I have both the 4th and the 7th off. And we were actually going to leave to go back east to Boston on the 7th. Obviously, that's not happening. We're going to drive back across country. So another long stretch, another milestone, 6 weeks without him. And honestly, the only thing that's changed in the last 6 weeks is that I now no longer feel numb. I feel the pain now. My heart hurts. Feels like I'm living in a bottomless well of sadness. There are days I don't know how I can go on, but not in a suicidal way. My zest for life just isn't there. It's hard watching the world go by. People I know, family, friends, strangers, just going on with their lives, as they should. I see them walking down the street, laughing and living. And the depth of my grief is so invisible to them. It's like mourning lives in a parallel universe. Life is always beginning and never ending. At the same time, I feel jealous. Life just goes on, and my husband is dead. And then there's how Tim died. And I'll get into it more in depth later on. He first went to urgent care because his primary care doctor had always told us, don't bother calling, just go to urgent care. So much for having a primary care physician. But going to urgent care was the best way to help. I guess that's how things work here in the desert. Unless, of course, you have concierge medicine. They thought he had pneumonia. From there, it was the emergency room, then the hospital. That was a Wednesday. He was discharged on Friday with oxygen. And it appeared that he had some type of afibrillation. By the following week, he was back in the hospital, 5 days in a regular room. Then his heart stopped at a little bit after midnight on May the 19th. He stopped breathing. They moved him into the ICU. I got a call at 4:20 a.m. This has apparently happened a little after midnight. They were going to, and I couldn't see him till 8 o'clock or so that morning. I never had another conversation with him because they vented him. He could mouth words and mouth phrases and express himself with his big baby blue eyes. But our last conversations were innocuous. Then a couple days later, they were going to take him off of oxygen because he didn't need it anymore. He was down to 35%. They were going to unvent him on Tuesday. So he got there on Monday. They were going to unvent him on Tuesday. Then something happened. Don't know what. He never fully recovered. The last words he spoke to anyone, a doctor and a respiratory therapist, were, don't vent me. I need to take care of my husband. He's going through chemo. After that, he was vented, and he could only mouth words. He kept telling me that he loved me. I miss him more than I ever thought possible. I knew I loved him deeply, but I never realized how deep the love truly was until now. This is my grief. This is my journey. I don't know how it goes. I wear his wedding ring around my neck. But I just want everyone to be kind, patient, and have gratitude. And it's hard for me to do those things, but I'm trying.